Mike G. Rich on Twitter. Mike Richman, the homie from Locked On Blazers podcast. He joins us now. Good morning, Mike. How we doing?
Oh, great. Just so excited for a couple fun matchups with the Fighting T-Wolves this week.
I want to commend you before we start this thing off because I'm a pretty regular listener, and I brought it up this morning. I like to listen early in the AM before I get into work, and I'm like, oh, what the hell does he talk about? And it was a nice little Delano Banton tease, and I went, yep, that's the season now. At this point, what are we to expect from the Blazers? Like, Malcolm's being reevaluated in 2 weeks. Shaden's seemingly done for the year. Ant's been in and out with injuries. Ayton's been in and out with injuries. Largely, the only stable one's been Jeremy from a vet perspective. And then it's a bunch of, guys that some of us haven't even heard of. How are you viewing the Blazers right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating because you would hope for this season to give them some sort of direction, like here's where we're pointing to. And it's not like they're completely aimless, but because of the injuries and because of sort of their talent level, it's like, so what do they build from? It's like, what is it? Where do they go from here? You know, I think Jabari Walker has been a nice story, but Jabari Walker is not a foundational, tier one star you build with. Same with Tumani Kamara, Chris Murray, or guys who are going to play tonight. It's like, it's just, I guess what I expect for them is to finish out the season and to leave us with not a lot to talk about on the radio.
Let me ask you about that. I don't know if I was texting you or Gundy. You know, I got a couple people I text regularly about hoops. I might have been texting Gundy, but if it was you, I'm sorry. I was thinking of the season, the takeaway, and I know the season's not over yet, but some of the, Shaden's not going to come back. Scoot is a rookie, he's 19. Is Jabari their most positive takeaway from the season?
Maybe.
Can you make an argument for, because I was with you what you said this morning or on the pod last night, and I heard it this morning of a little underwhelmed with Ant. I know he's scoring at, a good level, but I just expected a little more in other areas and I haven't gotten it. DA has been up, and I know he's been more up lately, but he's had some down moments as well. Jeremy's kind of what I expected. Scoot's 19. Shaden's played 30 games. I just went through it. I'm like, my God, is Jabari Walker going to be their big positive takeaway from the year?
Yeah, I think I think the Jabari Walker sort of fits in this little section that you could say is they seem to have found some guys who can be role players moving forward. I think Tumani Kamara is going to be a good role player in the NBA. I think Jabari Walker is clearly going to be a pretty good role player in the NBA. You can see shades of it with Chris Murray, although he hasn't put it together. Matisse Thybulle forgot how to shoot since the calendar flipped over, but he looks like a pretty good role player too. So it's like they found some guys, but they don't have that piece yet, and it's hard to continue building it's hard to move forward with a rebuild if you don't have that, this is the guy we build with piece, and they just don't have that right now.
Mike Richman, Locked On Blazers podcast, 5 days a week. He brings it in a way that nobody else in this market does, and I'll put myself in that category as well. I'm not potting 5 days a week, so you're a true soldier for this stuff, but there's not a lot, I think, from the trade deadline. I tried to get you on, and we had a schedule conflict. The only thing I had that I thought was interesting, because Joe seemed a little more buttoned up at the presser. It wasn't as stepping in it as it was a year ago when he's like, we're going to put our chips all in. I think he learned a lesson from that in the draft day, the draft night presser, where he's like, yeah, Scoot and Dame can definitely be a thing with Ant. But he did say something that caught my ear, and maybe Danny kind of poo-pooed it a little bit. I'm curious if you do. He said, figuring out our identity and style of play. And I understand fully that a lot of guys have been in and out of the lineup, but this is year 3 of the coach. And I just kind of heard that, and I'm like, shouldn't that be the thing we know the most, even if guys and the moving parts aren't all there? I don't know if you heard that the same way I heard it or if you cared at all, but I heard that at that presser, and I'm like, I feel like I should know that in year 3 of my coach's tenure.
Well, they were supposed to play extremely fast. They were going to be a team that flies up and down.
I've heard that for 3 years now, and actually I've heard that for 5.
Bottom 5 teams in transition frequency.
Okay.
They were going to share the ball and move it and be this team and they're bottom in the league in assists and near the bottom of the league and just like raw passes, like how many times they pass a game. They have this idea of what they want to play, and they've never established it. And whether that is the failing of a coach to either implement a style or recognize what his players are actually capable of, it's a problem. It's a problem. Either way you slice it, that's an issue. I don't know that I make the same, this is Joe Cronin frustrated with the coaching staff. I think sometimes he just kind of says stuff. But,
no, I didn't mean to suggest it was just a blurb that he had said in the presser of things he's looking for by the end of the year.
Yeah. And I think the real knock on this team is that here we are, 50-some games into the season, and it's not 100% clear what their true foundational identity is. You kind of know what you'll get from game to game. They play pretty hard, and they, I guess they press a little bit. That's an identity, but in terms of stylistic stuff, I don't think they have a really strong outline. It's still a little bit loose. Some of that is injuries, and some of that is youth, and some of that is probably the coach not really getting hard outlines yet.
Year 3, a coach wants to do a certain style of play and they're still not doing it. I'm gonna lean a little bit. That's the coaching. I'm curious. We put a poll question up. Are you ready to live in a world where the Minnesota Timberwolves are in the NBA Finals? I'm not ready to trust them, though. Last night was really fun. I'm kind of still stuck in the Nuggets out of the West, and then, we'll see in the East. I hope it's Milwaukee because I want to see Denver, Milwaukee. But where are you at in the Western Conference? How do you view these other teams at the top?
Well, I know you're a betting man. I know you're a losing betting man, actually. I've seen Sprague in the line. You're not doing well.
Thank you.
But
appreciate you bringing that up. Listeners, don't give me a hard enough time.
Hey, listeners, let him know. I hit the text line. This guy does a lot of losing.
This guy sucks.
But the T-Wolves are not getting love in Vegas. The T-Wolves have longer odds than the New York Knicks to win the championship, which really speaks to how many people are betting on the Knicks. Shout out to my Knicks fans out there, smashing the betting lines. But they have long odds, and I think here's the problem: in the playoffs recently, the teams that have won because they can score. The last 2 champions have been, Golden State was kind of mediocre on offense, but they have Steph and they can score. And in the regular season, they're mediocre. They have Steph, they can score in the half court. The Nuggets were kind of, right near an average defense, but they were just awesome on offense. The T-Wolves just don't. Their problem is that when games get close, when they have lost recently, they don't have a good enough offense right now to score when it gets tight. And that is the thing that doomed the Celtics when they got to the championship. And really good teams can get caught up in that, is that they don't have the dude or the system that allows you to get easy baskets. The league has leaned offense. Offense wins championships these days. So I think they can be really good. I would be surprised if they make the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, I think to that point, too, on the offense, I think they're one of the leading teams to have blown double digits. I know their record's amazing, but they've had other games where they've been up 20 and they've lost those games. So their offense kind of gets into that little, gets stuck a little bit. I'm largely with you. Thank you for hopping on this morning. Thanks for diving in. I know it's not the prettiest of time, but you're doing a great job on that podcast. I know everybody's telling you that, but I just want you to know that unlike you telling me I suck at my job, you're really good at yours. Okay. So thanks for hopping on with us this morning.
Thanks so much. I'm glad that you spent 9 minutes on the Trailblazers this morning. That's brave. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's a safe space. So thanks for hopping on, Mike.
Thanks, man.
All right, there we go. Mike Richman, the homie, Locked On Blazers.